Private First Class Mark Denner had barely stepped onto the shuttle bay when the first remark hit him like a rehearsed joke. "You brought a lunch sack to a recon mission." Captain Scorvath's mandibles clicked in what passed for amusement among his kind. "Human, are you planning to picnic on a war-torn moon?" Denner didn't flinch. He adjusted the straps on his faded olive drab pack and took in the cavernous hold. It was the 7th time someone had laughed at his gear he counted, and he still wasn't tired of it. That pack had been with him through Arcturus dust storms and methane acid sleet. Its straps were stained with sweat, the fabric faded, but it had never failed him. "It's not a lunch sack," he said evenly. "It's modular." "Modular." Scorvath barked a sharp laugh, the sound bouncing off the shuttle's alloy walls. Behind him, several Tarsakian crew members, clad in full Kevlar shell environmental armor, chittered in delight. "Is that what your kind calls primitive patchwork? The only thing modular about it is how easily it'll fall apart." Dinar didn't rise to the bait. He simply gave a small, amused smile and tapped the side of the pack like a man reminding a dog not to bite the hand that feeds. Scorvath's team was still deep in their pre-mission checks. His second-in-command, a sinewy lieutenant with iron-colored eyes, stomped past Denner and shot him a glare like a warning. Denner didn't blink. He just wanted the mission to begin. The posturing could come later. They were orbiting Thaddeus, a moon uncharted until higher-resolution scans picked up signs of ancient ruins and, disturbingly, no traces of wildlife. A joint task force had been assembled, Denner as the lone human recon specialist, a full Tarsakian detail, and a reclusive Archon drone analysis team that preferred machines over conversation. This wasn't a team forged in trust. It was forged in necessity. As the dropship's lights shifted to a ready-state amber, the crew snapped into formation. Scorvath flexed his claws and turned to Dinar. "If you die," he said coolly, "leave the sack behind. It might amuse the next primitive. We bring on a real mission." Denner gave a nod. "Sure. Just make sure you don't trip over it." The shuttle bucked as it broke into atmosphere, stabilizers groaning against the resistance. Outside the viewport, Theta 7 emerged, gray, pitted, its surface veiled in a fog, too still to be natural. Craters lined its expanse like ancient scars. As they descended further, jagged ridges of dark stone rose like blades from the dust. "Hostile signatures?" Scorvath asked, his voice tight now, no longer joking. "Non-active," the Arc drone replied, its optic pulsing, but environmental parameters unstable. Ion readings spike every 7 seconds. Landing was rough, the shuttle hissing as the rear ramp descended into a cloud of disturbed ash. Denner stepped out last, boots sinking into soft grit. The sky was a dull metallic gray, with no discernible light source, like the moon itself was lit by an artificial sun. The team fanned out with sensor rods and atmospheric sniffers, scanning every inch. Denner walked deliberately, eyes on the terrain. The grooves in the ground were too clean to be erosion. He knelt, pulling a collapsible lens from his pack and inspecting the lines more closely. Up a nearby slope, a collapsed stone arch lay shattered, but its pieces had fallen in perfect symmetry. Scorvath wandered over, curiosity cracking through his contempt. "You really intend to catalog the dirt?" "Cataloging is part of the job," Denner replied, adjusting the lens with gloved fingers. "And this dirt's cut into a pattern. Not erosion. Geometry." "Geometry?" Scorvath scoffed. "You mean intelligent design?" Denner gave a curt nod. "Someone was here, recently. Maybe." The tremor hit then, a deep, shuddering rumble beneath their boots. The Tarsakians immediately snapped to alert, weapons drawn. "Underground tremor," reported the Arc drone. "Depth, 12 meters, lateral spread. It's moving." Scorvath barked orders, forming a defensive perimeter. Dinar stood and calmly stowed his lens, then reached back to his pack. Unfastening the top flap, He revealed a series of neatly folded metallic panels, woven with fine embedded tech. Without a word, he yanked a red tab. The pack bloomed. Struts snapped into place. Panels unfolded with mechanical precision. Within seconds, the backpack had transformed into a hexagonal micro-shelter, complete with thermal shielding and a core that drilled into the soil. A faint hum filled the air as the shelter stabilized its internal environment, projecting a soft blue ring around its base. A hiss sealed its oxygen field. Skorvath froze. Is that a structure? Dinar stepped back, watching the shelter hum to life. In case of hostile climate or seismic shifts, he said. Human recon issue, you're saying? That Tarsakian captain muttered, eyes narrowing, that the lunch sack contains a functional outpost module. More or less, Denner replied. Also includes water filters, drone deployer, 2 weeks of ration bricks, nav beacon, thermal mat, medkits, and a comms antenna. Skorvath circled the shelter, claws clicking on stone. He stopped at the entrance, sniffed the filtered air. You could have said something. You were busy laughing, Denner said. Another tremor, struck stronger this time. The arc drone rotated in its cradle, emitting a sharp alert. Hostile emergence, southeast quadrant, 200 meters. From a distant ridge, the ground split open with a wet tearing sound. Something began to crawl out of the crack. It wasn't graceful. It didn't gleam. It dragged itself forward on jagged plates of rusted armor and fractured glass. Each movement left behind a trail of sizzling black liquid. Biometal construct, the arc drone announced. No life readings. Unknown origin. Unknown allegiance. Hostile assumed. Formation hardened perimeter. Skorvath roared. Tarsakian. Rifles powered up, pulsing with energy. Dennar ducked behind his shelter and triggered the outer defenses. 4 wall panels snapped from the backpack's lower compartment and embedded into the soil like defensive origami. The construct turned. A central node on its body cracked open, revealing spinning bladed mechanisms. Then came the sound, an ultrasonic howl that slammed into Denor's chest. His visor adjusted too late. He snapped a strap across his helmet to dull the effect. But the Tarsakians were less lucky. One dropped, blood leaking from his vent. Another staggered, disoriented. Sonics. Dinar shouted, "Return fire." Skorvath ordered, cannon roaring. Plasma and kinetic bolts lit up the air, hammering the construct. It staggered, but didn't fall. Instead, it opened to side panels and released. A swarm of needle-thin drones that moved like angry wasps. Denner activated the turret on his shelter's roof. High-velocity projectiles ripped through the air. Drones fell, sparking. But more came. Defenses compromised, the arc drone said flatly. Recommend retreat or localized detonation. Skorvath ignored it, clawing up a ridge, drawing fire. His lieutenant hurled an anti-armor, charge boom shearing part of the creature's flank. Beneath its shell writhed what looked like black circuitry. Get it to the crater ridge, Denner yelled. There's a sink pocket, it might collapse. Not a confirmed tactic, Skorvath replied. Better than waiting to die. Surprisingly, the captain growled an affirmative and redirected his squad. They fell back slowly, firing in bursts. Denner stayed behind, remotely piloting the turret. From the pack, he launched a recon drone the size of a water bottle. It zipped skyward, mapping the ridge. The sinkhole unstable ringed in splintered rock was 200 meters. Up. Feed coordinates to squad. Lorit. But the construct wasn't easily distracted. It launched twin harpoons. One struck a Tarsakian in the shoulder, knocking him back. The other nearly impaled Skorvath. Denner acted. He grabbed a flare, sprinted left, waving it high. The red glow sliced through the murk. The creature turned, slow, grinding forward. Every step sent vibrations through the rock. Denner let it wide toward the sink edge. When he reached it, he dove behind a boulder and screamed, "Now!" Explosives lit the slope. The ridge cracked. The creature staggered, lost footing, and tumbled. A heartbeat later, the entire sink pocket collapsed, burying the machine in a thunderous roar. Silence followed. "You all right, human?" Scorvath asked through static. "Alive," Denner coughed. "Thanks for the cover. You risked your life." "Yeah, figured it wouldn't be the last thing today that tries to kill me." The shelter still stood, humming quietly. The turret had powered down to conserve energy. Denner approached, brushing dust from his shoulders. The Tarsakian squad rejoined him, and Scorvath gave him a long, thoughtful look. "Your lunch sack," he muttered, "was the only stable position in that fight? You want one?" Denner asked. "They're standard issue now. Just don't laugh when you open it." Inside the shelter, Denner sat with helmet off, a hydration strip pressed to his jaw. The water filter hummed behind him. One Tarsakian stood outside, keeping watch on the crater, as if expecting the monster to rise again. It didn't, but the tension didn't ease. Scorvath entered, uninvited. Denner made room as the captain crouched beside the central module. The rotating terrain map glowed softly. "You were lucky," Scorvath said. "Was I?" Denner asked. "You could have tripped, died, accomplished nothing. Still better odds than waiting to get sliced up." Scorvath didn't argue. He stared at the terrain map. "We expected ruins, stone, debris, ghost cities, not constructs. This was never a city," Denner said, tapping a red glowing section. "Look here." The orbital view zoomed in a circular crater lined with repeating symbols. A vault, maybe a prison. "You believe we walked across the roof of something old, still running. That construct wasn't new, patched together, scavenged parts, but still functioning." Scorvath's voice dropped. "Then who's maintaining it?" Then stared at the map. "I want to scan deeper. Drop seismic beacons. That takes time. We're already making noise." The captain stood in silence, then finally nodded. Duttner moved quickly, placing beacons in a triangular spread. The fog was thickening, curling at his shoulders. Visibility dropping, Scorvath warned. "No one outside formation," Denner ordered. As he returned, he froze. A figure stood beside the shelter, tall, wrong, arms too long, legs bent in 3 places, a red dot where its face should be. It turned, walked away. "Captain Denner," whispered. "We had a visitor." Then the seismic nodes began cutting out. 1, then 2, then 3. No interference, just silence. Something was hunting them, quietly. The fog closed in. Motion sensors died. The Archon drone blinked out. "Whatever's out there," Denner said, fingers tight on his rifle. "It's not trying to fight." "No," Scorvath replied. "It's hurting us." Denner acted. He deployed adaptive field nodes, creating a 20-meter clearing. The fog glowed faintly blue. It gave them breathing space. Then something new approached. Not a machine, a gate. Hovering, smooth, rotating with unfamiliar symbols. It stopped just outside the perimeter dot. Denner touched its hand, saw another world. Towers, grown machines, order, then darkness. The shelter adapted, panels shifted, emitters rose. The gate responded. A vision appeared inside the gated chamber, full of dormant constructs. Then a control node failing. The moon wasn't a city. It was containment, and it was breaking. "It's asking if we can fix it," Denner said. "You mean it asked your pack?" Scorvath asked. "Not just a lunch sack," Denner replied. The shelter deployed a final component to quantum relay. The fog eased. Stars peeked through, and Dinar realized the moon wasn't defending itself. It was asking for help. The only thing that had answered was a battered, underappreciated pack full of tools and quick thinking. Scorvath circled the gate, then stopped beside Denner. "When we return," he said, "I will request 3 of those packs." Denner grinned. "Bring a strong back." Then we grow stronger. Above them, the stars watched, and maybe just maybe so did something else.